All right, man. Welcome back to the next episode of Destination Success. Today, I have Tim Tinkle on, and Tim comes from one of my really good relationships I have. He's all the way out in Iowa. Tim has done a lot of things in the restaurant industry, probably everything from dishwasher to cooking to managing to waiting, and that's normally what we do as a still food person. That's kind of how we roll things in the restaurant industry. Then he was in the auto business, and now he's part of Apex. He's married and has two kids. And he said he's from the bottom to the top. So let's give a warm welcome to Tim. What's up, Tim? How you doing, man? Let's get started, man.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
no,
it.
absolutely, man. So go ahead. Let's start to give the folks like a little bit about yourself. Give them a brief description of what's going on. I kind of let them know, but let's talk about some stuff and where we want to go.
Yeah, man. So really the story starts in Iowa. Grew up there for the most part, moved around. Once I got to high school, I was actually 5 high schools in 4 states. So moved around quite a bit, man. And I wouldn't really trade that for the world because I learned how to deal with a lot of different people. I think that's what really helped me in the restaurant business. Like you said, I've really done anything and everything you could possibly think of in the restaurant business. And then I got, a former employee came over to me one day, man. It was like, hey, you should do this. And, I decided to make that jump into the auto industry and really just excelled from day one because I didn't really have the opportunity to fail. I had a daughter at the time. I had a wife. And so, with that stuff, you can't really allow yourself to fail. So I excelled and have failed forward and really kind of pushed on since and ended up investing in myself at one point, which is a really, really tough thing for a lot of people to do. And I was no exception, man. I didn't have parents that did that. I didn't have a lot of relationships in my life. Nobody really did anything like that, man. And so it was hard for me to, go ahead and make that jump, but I did. And I found, my mentor in life, Sean Pollard. And it's really funny because I actually had been following Ryan Stewman since I was like, for probably like 10, 12 years. So really since, almost when he began, I followed him and, my mentor comes here and I had actually joined Apex, a year before my mentor came on board here. And really, man, it just blossomed from there. And one thing led to another. And I decided to move my family across the country down here to Texas and, go to war with these guys every day.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So, it's funny how when you burn the bridges, you mentioned that you really had no option because you had, a wife and kids, and you had to make money, so you had to figure it out. And it's funny how I tell people all the time is sometimes when you have too many options, it's tough to really figure the path out. But when you have zero options, there's really only like you have to do this or that, or else that's it. So kind of the same thing with me when I got out of Navy. I had started my commercial cleaning company, and I really didn't want to go back to work for anybody. I was burnt out of the restaurant business, and I really didn't want to do that anymore. And I really just looked at it like, this is it. Like I'm either going to figure this out or I'm not. And I didn't really, my grandfather owned a construction company, but he'd almost, he was really older and almost had passed and at the time. So, I really didn't have anybody in my circle of influence that really owned companies. I had friends that owned companies, but I didn't have family members. All my family my dad worked for Delmarva Power, which is a local utility company here, that he'd done that for 25 years. My other uncles worked for either Chrysler or GM, and my other uncles worked for the state, so everybody had that normal corporate life. So, it's tough. Like you mentioned, like you don't always have the right tools in your toolbox because, the people that you've looked up to for all your life just were doing it the way that the person they looked up to all their life, which there's really nothing wrong with that. And that's not what we're saying. But when you go to step out and try to do something new, there's not always a whole lot of people. And I started being an entrepreneur in '99. So all this Apex, all this stuff wasn't around back then. All these groups, All these people that you see online now, they weren't there. You know what I mean? You had Room, you had Robbins, you had a couple, and it was expensive to do stuff with them. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, our entrance fee here is cheap compared to going to see Tony Robbins anywhere. You're talking $5,000-$10,000 just to walk in the front door, and then get coaching is like $100,000. You know what I mean? Like, so what we're doing here at Apex is a whole lot less expensive. Plus you have the other groups where, we have the entrepreneur group, you have the regular Apex group that, basically is for anyone that signed up for anything, so you have those group of people where you can talk to like-minded people. So it is great, man. So why don't you talk about the auto industry? You said you had some pretty good experiences there. Give us a little bit of, what you did there. And
yeah, it was a pretty much of a roller coaster ride. So my first month, I actually led the store in gross, and was a couple units away from winning the Salesman of the Month. Really attacked the auto industry, man, and push as hard as I could. I was always told that I was going to burn out, and I don't really believe in burnout. So for me, that never really registered. I don't really think. I think if you're uninspired, that's when you get tired.
Sure.
And so I wasn't the burnout guy because I really was on a mission, man. I realized early that first month, like, wow, I could really change like the trajectory of where I'm personally at, being in the restaurant business to then making really good money in the car business. So I couldn't be more happy. I ended up at one store, and then ended up going over to do finance at another store, and really got years worth of experience in 1 year, and I was really thankful for that. I was able to really dive into that part and do really well. It was midway through my auto career when I found like training. I didn't really know anything that there was people out there that you could really go learn from, and I think a lot of people, if they were to make a small investment in themselves, they could really turn that into, a really good future for themselves. And a lot of times it's a lot less really than what you think it would be. And in today's world, the information's there. So it's really about like, going to get it. And
Sure.
I was able to come across someone who, introduced me to it. I found my mentor. I paid Sean Pollard for years before I came on board to work for him, and Ryan Stewman with Apex. And, we really dove in to everything in life together. And really he's helped me paint the picture of what I want my life to be. And then to make the steps to go do that too has been really big. Right. So,
yeah. So let's talk about that. So, there's always, we have a lot of entrepreneurs listen to this. There's a lot of people in Apex that'll buzz through everybody's podcast. So, let's dig into that a little bit. So, and not so much about the money, but let's dig into why you should seek out, someone to help you, someone, what's the purpose of having that coach? Like, how did Pollard help you? Why did you keep paying him? You can pay anybody once, but to keep paying them every month or every whatever your delineation of time is, you've been doing it for a long time. So why did you see that hiring a coach for you? What was the benefit each and every time? So that you keep renewing that membership.
Yeah. So there was a lot for me. It was I just wanted skill, and I was making more money at a very rapid pace, right? So I wanted more skills. I wanted to learn about money more. I wanted to learn a lot, and really, I found something finally I was very good at. And then if I had the help, I could really scale that. I had the idea that I could really scale it. I just had to go to somebody who has been there for one, right? Because that's a big part of having a mentor is, hey, they've been where you want to go, right? They've done the things that needed to be done to get where they're at, and they know how to do it. And a lot of times, man, we can compress time frames. I did a lot in 1 year in the car business, for example, and the output that I did was a lot of people's 2 and 3 years.
Right.
And so I really believe that if you have somebody in your corner that has been where you want to go, you can really, I say use them, but really have them help you to go where you want to go. But you can make it a lot shorter, than maybe your mentor could, right?
Sure.
And so,
So let's go back and just define a little bit for some people. So you and I are being coached. So we understand some tag works like compress time and elevate stuff. And so the thing is so I've been in business for 30 some years. I have multiple businesses. So I have to go to someone who, I've made my businesses make over millions of dollars every year. So
yeah.
I can't go to a coach that's like in a middle level. I need a coach that's going to get me to the next level. So that's what drew me to coming to Apex, is that there were a bunch of guys that were doing the next level stuff than me, and you can ask questions. Same thing with you. Like, you went to Sean, but Sean may have never sold cars before. It's not about the technique of selling cars. It's about the mindset of where you need to be the best operator, no matter what you're doing, whether it's that you're the executive chef, or whether you're the head of the detail department, or whether you're head of the office, or you're rising up in a corporation, or you're starting out your new place. The point of it is that I tell everybody all the time, it's the 7 inches between these two things right here that get us. And if you can get somebody to get you out of that, that's how he's talking about this compressed time. Because what you do is you'll keep delaying action, because you'll let yourself tell yourself the story that either you're not ready, you're not good enough, it's not for you, because it's painful to change and it's painful to act. And that's what a coach does, is that they kind of push you out there. No different in sports. You get up there, you strike out 3 times behind the plate, and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this shit anymore. And he goes, no, get up there again. They hit the ball, boom. No, golf is the best example of this shit. You go out and you miss every goddamn stroke, every pole, every putt, and then all of a sudden you hit one great shot. One great shot. You land right on the green, you tap that thing in. Now you're like, I'm going pro. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same thing when you have a coach. When they're trying to help you through all that low point, to understand that keep going, keep grinding. Because 90% of the time, people will give up right before the finish line. And it's horrible, because you were like right there, and everybody else around you sees it, and you're like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, it's just too much work. So I just wanted to help expound on that, because you're speaking in a lot of little tag words that I want to make sure everybody kind of understood.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's also really important to, when you're seeking out a coach or coaching, if I haven't made $1 million, I shouldn't be coaching you how to make $1 million.
Right.
And I think in today's world, it's really popular to be a coach. It's really popular to go down the development space and everything like that.
Sure.
But when I look at like a mentor, man, they really need to be who they say they're going to be. And I think a lot of people in today's world are just not that, because it's easy to portray yourself online as something different.
Well, sure. And everybody, on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, anybody can be anything. I mean, anybody can walk over. My buddy owns a Ferrari right across the street from me. I can walk over and sit in his front yard in his beautiful $1.8 million house in front of his red Ferrari and his black Ferrari and pretend to be that kind of person. But the problem is, you got to actually get into them. Like, you got to feel them out a little bit. They can't fake the funk for a really long time. You know what I mean? Like, so give them a little bit of space, give them a little bit of time, and eventually you're going to see who you are. And here's what I'm going to tell you, because I know and I know there's a lot of shit going on about Apex right now, about some turmoil shit. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you when I joined Apex, so you know. So I had found Ryan through a book club. There was a guy out of California that was running this CEO mastermind book club where, basically you paid, I think it was like $99 a month, and he would send you 1 or 2 or 3 books. Well, I got Ryan's book one month, and I wound up flying to Florida for vacation. And I'm not a good reader. Like, I don't like to read. I like to listen. I like to do, but reading has just never been my forte. So I got on a plane and I'm thumbing through this thing, and next thing you know, we're getting ready to land, and I'm done the book. It was, it's a small read. It was 150 pages, maybe 200, but it made sense to me. Like you said, like it was me. Like Ryan and Ryan had his things, I had my things, but like when you listen to the message, we were both the same people. You know what I mean? Like shit, and I was like, damn. So then I looked him up. You know what I mean? He's doing all this crazy shit that online with all these Lambos and whatever. And I'm like, okay, let me see. So then all of a sudden I got the thing to go to the to the mastermind. And this was this November, December. They were selling the mastermind for April of 2020. And I said, you know what? I looked at it. So the entry level was like $200. The air for Delaware to Texas, like round trip was like 500. I'm like, I'm all in for 1,500. I'm like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like it's $1,500. I've wasted $1,500 on other coaches and other shit and other things in my life. Let's just go see what it's about. So long story short is COVID happened, as everyone knows, in February of 2020. And basically, the hotel canceled, everything canceled. Like they wouldn't. The only thing you could get was an airplane ticket, but other than that, you couldn't go. You couldn't speak. He had no place to take it to because he doesn't have the building that he has today, where he could have had it downstairs if he wanted to, because it was only probably like 400 or 500 people back then, and unlike the 1,500 last year that I was at. So I'm like, all right. I was like, I get it. So he's probably just going to roll it till, because nobody knew what was going to happen. You're talking early months of COVID. Nobody knew shit. So we all figured, all right, it's summertime. He'll just have it in July, August. No big deal. No, you know what this crazy son of a bitch does? He gives you 10 times your money. Whatever you spent, he gave you 10 times. So I told you that originally the entry ticket was like $200. Well, I wound up getting my airfare. I wound up securing my hotel, and I got it really cheap. And I'm like, and they kept sending me the email, and I kept seeing VIP, and I kept seeing VIP, and I was like, you know what, this is bullshit. I just need to go get VIP. So I wound up spending $1,500. So I had $15,000 in his online portal to spend. And I was like, most people would have ran and just tried to keep the money and give some bullshit excuse, right? I mean, think about it. It's COVID. I don't know what to tell you. It's not my fault. Blah, blah, blah. Not this bitch. This bitch comes up and gives you 10 times your money back in his shopping cart. I mean, who the hell does that shit these days? And I tell people that all the time because I want to make sure that people understand that you can't buy character. You can buy cars, you can buy women, you can buy diamonds, you can buy houses, and you can buy vacations. But what you can't buy is you can't buy character. Yeah. So make sure when you link up with people, you understand their character. Because I've been around now, obviously, 4 years. Because I signed up immediately. I got lifetime access to Apex, and then I started with the entrepreneur program, and then I've written my own book. Me and Jerby, we were a week apart when we launched our books and stuff like that. So like I've been in this system for a long time, and I've been to three other. I missed one of the MDMs. I flew out 5 times when I was in the entrepreneur for the fly-in ones. They had quarterlies, but then they had another one we had. So I flew out for all 4 and then another one. And then I continue to fly out to Texas, and I'll just show the fuck up. I'll see that they're doing something, and I'll just come to sit in the class. I'll pay just to sit in the class because it's a mindset thing for me. I come there on retreat. And it's funny, my wife tells me, you ain't been to Texas in a while. You all right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. I got to get to Texas. I actually got to see another place. And, and it's just, I've been crazy. But the point I'm trying to make is that, make sure, like he would, like Tim was saying, you have to make sure you find the right people. I'm not saying that somebody can't help you, even though you guys are equals, because sometimes there's somebody just a little bit better, even though you're equal. But you certainly don't want to, if you're looking to grow and you're looking to hit that next level, and somebody that hasn't been to the level you're at. I'm not at Ryan's level, and I'm not going to pretend to, but I'm helping all the people that are getting started, coming through their first 5 to 8 years, because that's the hardest.
Question real quick.
Yes, sir.
How big of a deal is it to change someone from $100,000 to $400,000 per year.
It's no big deal at all. It's simple.
Life changing, right? 100,000 to 400,000 per year is life changing.
Right.
16 million to 17 million, man, it's not really life changing. It doesn't really do a whole lot, does it?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how you're making your money, but everybody's definition of good is different. You have to understand. You know what I mean? Like, my good is I don't want a big house anymore. I'm 52 years old. My kids are in their 30s. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need a big house anymore. I'm looking for a different type of lifestyle. I want to be able to work less and play more. And I want to be able to be on my boat as much as I can, go to Florida as much as I can, hang out with you guys in Texas as much as I can. Like, that's my lifestyle is different now. I'm not in my 20s and 30s anymore. I'm not trying to be a rock star. I did that shit when I was in my 30s. Now I'm trying to I want to live a different lifestyle. I don't mind working because I love what I do. I love coaching my people, but and you have to understand that because you are younger and you still have little kids. My kids are grown. My son owns a franchise of 13 barbershops in Delaware. Like, I don't, I'm not helping my kids like you are. So our missions are different. And you can't, here's another thing that I always like to tell people, and I don't mean to hijack this from you, but you can't have my goals. You can't have what I want. You got to have your own shit. And sometimes, what it is the definition of the shit I don't want. And I'm going to tell you that's how I learned what I really wanted, because sometimes when I put the shit down that I thought I wanted and I attained it, I go, I don't want this shit. And I had to figure it out. You know what I mean? So tell us about some of your goals and some of the things that Pollard's help you get to, like some of the things,
Yeah. So I was at the point, man, in life where I was excelling at my job. I built a pattern of success, and for me, I just was feeling very unfulfilled, right? And I think for me, I've always really done what I wanted to do in life. If I want to do something, I go do it, because here's the deal, man. I'm not making it out alive, and you're not making it out alive. So it's our job to go get what we want while we're living. And so for me, man, I really wanted to be fulfilled with whatever my job is and whatever my position is in life. So I wanted to go somewhere where I could really help change as many lives as possible. And that's our mission here at Apex. And not to make this all about Apex, but that's really quickly becoming who I am, man. And if I have the ability to change people's life and that person that's making 100,000, if I could help them make a few 100,000, that's life-changing money for those people. And so is if you're making 50,000, taking you to 250, and so is if you're at 5 million, taking you to 50 million. There are these changes in life. And if I could be a part of your story and help push you and help guide you and really help move the needle for you. And that's what I want to do. And that's my biggest goal. I've got some pretty serious goals for my kids, for my wife and my marriage and stuff like that. But it also always really starts, I believe, with the man in the family setting the pace, right? So if I set the pace for my wife and my son and my daughter, they have the bar to go get,
Sure.
And so for me, I really want to set the bar high for my kids. I want to have a legacy piece to leave them. And I think, this is a good place to build that legacy. And so that's my biggest goal, man. It's just change as many lives as I absolutely possibly can, because when you're working with me too, I'm not perfect. That's the thing, is I'm on this journey with you.
Sure. Well, nobody's perfect. Let's be clear about that. Like, if you're looking to hire a coach for perfection, you're just punching yourself in the face, because there's no one's perfect. We're going to give you the best results. So unlike Tim, I've owned businesses for now almost 32 years total. I've been self-employed where I make my own money and no one else helps me since 1999 when I got out of the Navy. So I've been doing this a really long time. And the thing is, again, it's not about the money. Like, you're still learning this, but I'm going to tell you at 52, it's not about the money, because the money only does two things. It either makes you miserable as fuck or it makes you happy as shit. And until you get your mind right, I promise you it's miserable as fuck. Because I was a nasty, angry, no good son of a bitch when I made a shit ton of money in my 20s and 30s. And I didn't understand me and how to respect what I had at the time. Now it's all different because now I understand how I move it forward. And I don't do this for the money. Like, I've only taken 2 paying coaching clients. And it's because of time. Like, I needed a lot of my time. Most of the time I sit down and I help people, and I'm just giving them advice. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I can tell you the mistakes I made were life altering, and I'm still here. You know what I mean? Like, I've made a lot of mistakes, a ton, too many that I half the time I don't want to talk about. But the point is, if I can help you not do 2 or 3 or maybe 4 of those mistakes that I made, at the end of the day, I feel accomplished because, I'm like, you know what? He didn't have to deal with that shit. He probably can sleep a little bit better tonight because he didn't hit that brick wall, or he didn't fall into that cave, or he didn't run off the road because he made the wrong decision. And maybe I helped him, save, maybe like you said, 2 months, a year, 3 years of doing it the wrong way until they figured out how to do it the right way. And that's really all we're here as coaches trying to do, is just help you steer in the direction. So I'm going to give you one of my pet peeves, and then I'm going to let you give me one of yours. My biggest pet peeve, and I wish I got paid on this, is that I have so many people that come to me and say, "Sherm, man, you're so successful. Look at everything you've done. Look at everything you have. Blah, blah, blah. So I got this problem." And I'm like, "Okay, throw it at me." "Well, I'm not sure how to handle it." "Okay, throw me the problem." So I throw them a problem. I don't give people one answer, because there's no right one answer. I go, my thing is, when I talk to people, I go, "So have you thought about this?" And they go, "No." And I go, "Okay, while you're thinking about that, what about this?" I said, and then I go, this. So I try to give them 3 thoughts, because I don't know really where they're going to go. People tell you what they think you want to hear. So I try to give them 3 angles, because I know what they're telling me isn't really where they want to be. So let's just help you. Like, here's 3 angles. And then I say, look, if it was me, this is the choice I would make. You know what I mean? And this is why. And I give them reasonings. At no point did I tell you, "Hey, Tim, this is what you should do," because I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice. I'm going to give you 3 angles, and I'm going to give you something to work for, something to figure, something to twist and adjust and pivot. And then I'm going to let you make your decision, because you have to learn as well. I can't hold your hand for the rest of your life while you're running your business. And I swear to God, I sit there, we'll be smoking a cigar, drinking a bourbon or a scotch or a vodka, and I lay it all out for them, all nice and neat, all easy and free. Because if I went to Apex and asked for this shit, it cost me $1,000, $1,500, $5,000, $25,000 to talk to Stuman. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm giving this shit to you for free. And then you come around and you go, I go, "Hey, man, how'd everything work out?" "Oh, well,
Didn't work.
I didn't do anything." And I go, "Why did you ask me?" Like, why are you wasting my time? Like, I don't mind helping people, because again, I don't need the money. You know what I mean? All the things I have going on, can I have more? Sure, absolutely. Do I want more? Yeah, but we buy and flip houses. I have the catering company. We're getting ready to do something else with that. I'm opening up another. I mean, I have ways of making money. I'm here. I do this to help. I don't do this to earn income. I could easily do this. I could easily transition to do this 100% of my time, fly down to Texas and move there and start working for you guys in a second. But that's not what I want to do. Like that. I mean, it's not that I'm not passionate about it, but I still like the flipping houses. I still like, the catering company and the weddings and the things. Like, I still like that. I haven't really worked out of that, where I don't want to drop in every now and then and help them in the kitchen and cook some stuff, or go to a wedding and watch all that stuff. So, but I've talked too long, so you see where I'm at. What's one of your pet peeves? You only just started doing this, but I guarantee you this is one of them. But I want to hear another one from you, like a different side.
I think for me, it's quitting.
Sure.
For me, I don't give myself that option anymore. And so just the idea behind quitting, which leads me to, people's test days and failing test days. Test days are, a day where you don't want to get out of bed. And so you end up just laying in bed all day. instead of getting out of bed and doing the stuff you should be doing.
Sure.
And so for me, it's like when people say they want something, but then will limit the amount of work that they will do to get what they want.
Yeah, that sucks. Because that's not quitting. That's lazy. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's
because they just don't want to put the extra work in. You know what I mean? Like, I hear what you're saying. They're not really quitting; they're just being lazy today. You know what I mean? That sucks.
For me, it's like when people have someone or something that they, really could be living for.
Right.
For example, for me, I want my kids to be proud of me, and I want me to be their hero. And so when people have kids and they have all these things, a wife that loves them unconditionally and kids that love them unconditionally, but then they won't make the smart decisions that they need to do to become the best versions of them. And because everybody else, chooses to love us and chooses to be around us, but really our kids are the only ones that are forced. And so we need to, earn that. We need to earn that respect, earn that admiration from our kids. And, when someone says they don't have the energy to get up, or they don't have this or that to get up, but yet they have children, it kind of makes me sick to my stomach, because I don't know how, when you have children, that you're not motivated to change. I mean, to move mountains for those kids,
I know. I hear you, brother. When I had my two boys and I had my cleaning company, like, it was my sole goal. I named my cleaning company out of them. It was called Marston's. Mark and Austin are my two sons. And like, it was like literally like I was just killing I looked at it. I was killing myself today to make it easy for them tomorrow. You know what I mean? And it wound up that, neither one of them, came to the family businesses, but the one learned, you know what I mean? And I look at it, I'm doing better than any baseball player, because I'm 50%, because I got one son. He paid attention, he learned, he watched, he saw, and now he's surpassed me. Like, he's got hundreds of $1,000s.
That means you did it the right way, man.
Yeah.
Ideally, as parents, I think that's what we want to do, right? We want,
sure.
I want to do better than my parents did, and then I want my daughter to do better than me, and my son to do better than me. Because if I this goes back to kind of compressing time frames. Sure. It took me a whole lifetime to learn what I learned, but if I could teach it to her by the time she's 16 or 17 or 20, by the time she has her first degree, and now she's getting into business, or maybe she did. I've always said that I'm going to, instead of a college fund, if my kid wants to start a business, I will give them the money. I will help them that way.
Sure.
So if I can give it to them by that point, man, I think, we're setting our kids up the way we should. And, it says in the Bible that we're supposed to leave things for our children. So I think that's very important to do that.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. So we're rounding out to 30 minutes, man. I want to respect your time. I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you being on. It was great talking to you about your life experiences, and I promise you I'm going to be out there in Texas soon so that I can see the new spot. And we'll do me a favor, just send me over some of the things you got going on, and I'll try to work out something in the next couple months to get out there and check it out. But again, Tim, I really appreciate you coming on. It's always good to hear, because I always tell everybody, you never know what you're going to hear that clicks to get you to take that next step, or turn left at 1 degree, or right, or north or south, whatever it is. And that's why I bring on a whole different all kinds of people, because whatever you said might have clicked to somebody. And if we change one person today, we had a great day. So again, I appreciate it. If you guys want to reach out to Tim, he's in Apex. He'll help you out with that kind of stuff. If not, you know where to reach me at. We're on Facebook and YouTube. And that's it, guys. I appreciate it. That's another episode of Destination Success.